Welcome to Soviet flying. Today we will be flying the An-2, the Antonov. It's something that I have already promised for some time. But as you know, the Antonov is known for having some issues, especially in 2024. So it took me some time to do the research, some guessing, some testing, reading a lot of Reddit forums and stuff, and finally I think it works now. I have tested it many times, and I hope that the solutions that I can provide will be also waiting for you, working for you. So let me just turn off the battery and let's talk about the stuff that we have. So the An-2 is an originally Ukraine-built plane, and I will talk about the plane like a lot once we take off. But just as general information, it's like used for a lot of different like areas, usage areas. And in case of this one model here in MSFS, it's one of my favorite planes because of how immersive it is and because of the attention to detail that you will see in this video. Actually, later I also discovered that it was like also Poland made, but actually I discovered it after I like tried it out and liked it very much. Okay, so there are a lot of stories connected to this plane that I will tell you once we will be in flight. But for now, let me just show you the most important stuff. So first, as you can see here, it's not in Russian, right? And I will also explain you how to do it, okay? And second thing is you can see like English descriptions with a lot of details provided. And this is something that I can recommend you for the first flights, okay? So normally I'm also flying without this, without all of those tooltips, but in this case, it really makes sense. So if you are like me and are normally just flying with this legacy switching method that is not highlighting stuff, that is not providing you information, I just want to like quickly show you how to find it, okay? So those are the options in 2024. You go into General, into Flight Interface, and here you change it to Lock and then enable the instrument tooltips, right? And this way you will get a lot of additional information in this one. So the developer, which I think also comes from the Ukraine, right, has not updated it for longer, especially not for 2024. But I think with what is happening in the Ukraine, that's understandable. So I don't think we can expect like an official update soon, but I don't know. Like from what I know, Jörg from Microsoft said that they will try to update all of those old planes, even if the developer is no longer available, right? But if this will happen or not, I don't know. For me, the plane works, although with the fixes that I will show you. Okay. So if we want to start, we need the checklist. Let me just show you. Okay, aircraft, checklists. And this is probably the best checklist that I have seen. It's not only like interactive, so those eyes work, but there's like a lot of context and like the exact things that you have to do. So even if you would not have those like English lettering here, with this one you should be able to do it. And an important tip from me, please use this checklist. There is also like a different checklist in the manual that I will also link in the description because it's not easy to find. But they are much more complicated, and I think they might contribute to like people on the forums having so many problems with it. So when I'm following this checklist here, it always works for me, okay? With some exceptions that I will tell you in a second, okay? So with this, let me just show you the plane from the outside. This is also like a custom livery, a Cuban one, because we will be flying on Cuba. Actually on islands close to Cuba that are like also part of the state. But I will explain everything like in a second, okay? So let us go back to our great plane and let's start. Flight controls, okay? The sounds are great, okay? Attitude indicator, caged, okay, and we can always click if we don't know where the stuff is. Here it is caged, so this is fine. Okay, so battery switch, so this one we have already used, right, to get this great fan here. We can turn it off, and you can see everything has custom sounds. I just love this. There will be some like very precise, very silent sounds, but you can see that it was like made with love, and every one of those instruments have like different sounds. Okay, so COM radio, okay, we just maybe mark it. Fuel shut-off valve, this is this one, okay, and here you can see it tells you if it's closed or open, right? So this is why I also ask you to enable the tooltips when using it in the beginning. There's lots and lots of additional useful information, okay? Okay, pneumatic valve, this is also something interesting. So here the brakes are actually like air-based, so pneumatic, like in a truck, and they also have like great sounds. Okay, so we have the valve here. Pressure needs to be more than 0, and it is more than 0. Okay, parking brake set, and you can see it's behind your yoke, right? But luckily it's also behind the yoke of the Copilot, where it's much easier to click. Okay. Okay, so fuel selector to both, and this is the critical part. Don't switch it to both. It will not work in 2024. Just switch it to left. Okay, and you can see once again the tooltip, so you exactly know what you are doing. Use them. Okay. Okay, beacon light. Okay, we have 2 beacon lights, 2 switches. Anti-fire system on. Okay. Engine parameters. Ugh. Okay. Fuel quantity indicator, yes please. Okay, and here we go to left because we want to see how much we have in the tank that we are using. Okay. Normally you would go to both, but we are not going to both. And this is the indicator here. Okay. And fuel quantity enough for flight, I hope so. Okay, and let's just proceed. So prop lever, high RPM, this is this one, and once again you can see the percentage here, if you are not sure which way it goes, because different ones will go like different ways, okay? So mixture rich, and this is actually rich. It's like an exception, down is rich, okay? And I have read the manual, and they said that you can lean, but this is not required in this plane. Many pilots don't lean at all, and in some of the planes it's even like blocked, right? So you cannot even move it, okay? So it stays at 100%, so rich. Manual fuel pump, 3-4 times. Okay, so now prime is here. Up to 3 strokes. Okay, propeller area clear, magnetos both. You kind of need to do it kind of fast because the pressure goes down, right? Starter master on, this is here. Okay, and starter switch, this is important. Okay, so we will be looking at this one, but we also have the tooltip here, which is great. And we need to wait until it reaches 8 or until it reaches 100% on this tooltip. Okay, this is the flywheel coming up, and once it is at 100%, we are connecting the clutch. And it's working. So first left, waiting for 100%, and then right. Okay, and throttle open a little bit. Let me just change the view. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Okay. And we want around 800 RPM. So this is like funnel. You can see RPM here. And it needs to be around 8. Okay. This is 800 because it's below 1 here, like a clock, right? Okay. So we have this one, as you can see, works. Okay. So there is one exception that I have read about on the forums. They said that for the GPS version, because there are two versions that you can select, it doesn't work cold and dark. I haven't tried it. I'm just using the version with ADF NDB navigation that I will show you. Okay, so the classical one. But they said, well, cold and dark doesn't work, but starting from the runway is supposed to work. Okay, so you can try it out if you want GPS. Okay, so idle RPM, we are at 800, so this is fine. Oil pressure more than 3. Okay, so oil pressure is here. The brown ones are the oil and the yellow one is the fuel. Okay, so it is. Starter master no longer needed. Okay, alternator, yes please. Okay, and the inverter will go to main. You can see once again tooltip, use it. Okay. Okay. Okay, before taxi. Okay, taxi clearance, sure. Carburetor heat only like in icing conditions, although like for carb heat it's more complicated, but let's not go through it now. Okay, so you can just mark it. Okay, so let's turn on the trim tabs. Okay, flaps. I just love having many switches. Okay, cowl flaps, and we will also talk about those. Okay. Yes, okay. ADF, yes, we will be navigating with NDBs, so we want this one. Navigation lights, yes please. In general, the blue ones are lights, right? But not always the beacon lights are not blue, right? So navigation lights, okay. Altimeter setting, and this is interesting because this is millimeters. Let me just show you. Bloop, 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 bloop. So we can see millimeters of mercury. So when I want to fly, I'm just googling like HPA 2 millimeters, like HG converter, right? And I'm getting this one here, providing this one, and I'm getting the value that I need to use. Okay. So in our case, let me just check. Okay. I'll just show you the map in a second. And it's 1015. Okay. So let me just check this one, 090 wind. Okay. Okay, 1015. Okay. So let's just put it into the converter. Tadam, 761. Okay, and we were close to it, 761. Very nice. So let's go back to our great checklist. Okay, so altimeter setting is already done. Engine parameters, everything is in the green, right? So oil pressure, oil temperature, and fuel pressure. Oil temperature will be important. Because there are shutters for it to regulate it, and this is the cylinder head temperature. There are also shutters for it. Okay, so they are green. Okay, parking brake release. Let's not do it now. And tail wheel lock off is here, and it also shows you if it's off or on. Okay, so we will need it to taxi for the tail wheel to be able to turn. Right, and let's get the taxi light. Okay. Taxi light, landing lights, brakes, rudder. Okay. Okay, we have the windows open. If it comes to the sounds, they are good. I would say they are not great, but they are good. But they are pretty low volume, right? So I always fly pretty much with the windows open. Okay, let me just do a last check. There is a lot of stuff that we will also do before entering the runway. Okay, let's kind of how it is divided. We will also do the navigation, which is actually pretty easy, and I will show you. So maybe before we start, let me show you the map, so we know where we are flying. So this big landmass above us is Cuba, right, the main island, and we have two smaller islands here. So we will be starting from Vilo Acuña, I think, because there's this accent here, which is actually like a free custom airport. When Asobo was updating the Caribbean Sea, I guess, they have added this one, right? And here we will be arriving in this one, Nueva Gerona, I don't know, I will not try it. But here I have downloaded like a free airport from Flight Sim2. Okay? So pretty much this whole section is beautiful, and this landmass is kind of but still looks good in 2024. Okay. Okay. So let me do a last check here. The alternator is red because we don't have enough RPM for it to work. Right. Well, let me show you outside view. Okay, so this is this custom free airport here. You can see the sound changes. And this is one of 3 great custom liveries that you can get, Cuban custom liveries. And I will also talk about them later. Okay. So as with every tail dragger, I do recommend to set up some additional views to be able to know where you are going, right? And with this, let me just get my rudder pedals. Okay. And I guess we can start. Oh, I think I might have blocked them. Yeah, okay. So here, if it's the red light, then they are blocked. We will lock them for takeoff and landing. Okay, so in this one, if we want, you can see those great brakes. If you want to brake, always move your yoke aft, or your joystick, or whatever you are using, right? I'm now pulling my joystick back, just to not go like over the front, right? Okay, parking brake, please. Okay, and you need to watch out for how much air you need. This has not happened to me, but I could imagine that if you are like braking a lot, you might kind of deplete it, but it should be like replenished by the motor, right? By the engine working. Okay. Okay. So let's proceed with our list. Okay. So in flight is actually before takeoff. So a large part of what you need to do before the flight is under in flight, right? Okay, so parking brake set. Okay. Battery check. So here, let's click on it. You can see there is a second scale, 20-30, right? So like in other planes, it needs to be close to 30, around 28. Okay. We can just warm up a little bit because we can see that the cylinder head is pretty cold, right? The temperature. You can see the alternator is on because we have increased the RPM. And let's just increase it to 1, right? This is 1, like in a clock. Okay. Okay, you can see like some noise, I guess, on my joystick. Okay, so amps are fine, carb heat we don't need, mixture is rich, fuel selector no, left, it needs to be left, okay. Altimeter setting is set. So, heading gyro, this will be fun, okay. So this is the main instrument that we will use for navigating, and here we need to press it and hold it. And it will calibrate. So I've read comments that if you have gyro drift on, this will drift with time and you won't be able to recalibrate it back. I'm not sure if this is true, just because, well, I haven't really flown flights longer than 70 miles, just because there is no autopilot, which is like also something that I will talk about. So I don't know, maybe with time it really does it and you cannot set it back, but for the flight times I had, this was never a problem, okay? And this was done here automatically, but for this one, we have to set it up, okay? So let's just take a look at the compass, and it's 21 and 5. I guess, if I'm seeing it correctly. Whoops, sorry, too early. 21 and 5. Okay, and when it's set, we are clicking the right mouse button to lock it. Okay, and we can also compare it here. It's 22, 23. Yeah, so it's kind of in the middle here. Okay, so maybe it's a little bit less than half. Let me just 3, 4, somewhere here. Okay, nice, some retro fun. Okay, elevator trim, and those trims we have the pitch trim, right, the aileron trim and the rudder trim, and this green light appears when they are neutral. So once you move away from the neutral position, this will like go off, right? So down if heavy. No, if not 3-5 degrees. Okay, so down. Okay, like this. 3-5. So this is more. Oh no, because it's not even 1 degree. Okay, so let's get as much as this one. Okay, rudder trim right for 3 degrees. Right. I don't know, I have never done like full 3 degrees, so let me just do 1, because I have experience with 1, okay? And once again, tooltips, use them. Later, when you're very experienced, you can like drop either the English lettering or the tooltips or both. Okay, flaps 0-20 degrees, and the flaps indicator is here. So the standard setting is 15, but you can also start with no flaps. Okay, but we will start with 15. Okay, attitude indicators. Plop. So 1, and also the Copilot one. Okay, now they are free. Engine parameters. Okay, so fuel temperature is in the green, and the cylinder head is not in the green yet, so we can add a little bit. In general, there is no warm-up. Normally it goes up very fast. Okay. Okay, and now let's talk about the cowl flaps and the oil shutters. Okay, so the controls for them are here. Okay, so when it comes to the cowl flaps, they are regulating this temperature here, and they are visible when they open. Okay, but when it comes to oil shutters, they do regulate this temperature here, and they are not visible, and this is why the display for them is here. Okay, so let's first open the oil shutters. You can see the percentage here and also on the display. Okay, and the cowl flaps, we will just move it to the front, but I just want to show you like how they look visually. Whoops. So they will be here, and I have them bound to my joystick. So we need them in the maximum setting, which will sadly mess up our view even more. Okay, they seem to be at 100%. Okay, so beacon light is already on, taxi light, let's keep it, landing lights, let's turn them on. Navigation lights, do we have them on? Yes, we do. Okay. And parking brake, yes, kind of, but we also want to set up our navigation, right? So let me just do it. So in this case, we do have those great NDBs here. this is interesting. This is like a brake release button, and I have seen people on the forums recommending to use it. I have never used it, and the brakes are working for me, but some people say that they have problems with brakes, so maybe because they use it? I don't know, I don't use it. Okay, okay, so NDBs. So let me just show you the map again. So we are flying from here to here, right? So let us just zoom in. This is a nice long-range NDB. Thank you, Cuba, for staying with radio navigation 412. Okay. So first, let's enable. Let me just here to compass, comp, right? And now we need to tune here 412. Okay. So luckily we have this tooltip, right? Okay, but we can also see it changing here. And the last digit is tricky because here you can see this is from 0 to 5, right? So 1, 2. And this way we have 4, 1, 2. You could do it without the tooltip, but here it's like always kind of tricky to be sure where it is. And with this, it's not a problem. So here we will have the heading to the NDB once it is like picked up in the air, and we will also have it here. Okay, this is also this area. So we will talk about NDB navigation like in detail once we are in the air. Okay, but for now let's just tune in the course that we will want to use, and it is, let me show you, 283. Okay. Listen to the sound, I just love it. Okay. And in general, we will try to keep the arrow inside this one. It's saying there will be some sightseeing, so we will kind of deviate from the course, right? So you will see. So this is like a radio altimeter, pretty useful. And here you have the switch for it. Sadly, if you turn it on, it will produce like a continuous alarm because we are under the minimum height set, right? So this is useful when flying in the mountains and you want a warning, for example. But on the ground, it's turned off, okay? Let me see if we can listen to the NDB. No, it's still too far away. Okay, we can also get the transponder. Oh, now I think I can hear something, but it's still too far away. Okay. Not that we need it for anything more than like role-playing, but it's still available. Okay, com radio, intercom, why not? Okay, and here we have two ADFs, right, to track NDBs, so with this one we can just switch between them. Okay, anything else that might be interesting to use? So this is the manifold pressure, so kind of the power, I guess, that you normally get in other planes. And this is the speed, right? So here is 100, but it's kilometers per hour, not knots, right? So let's keep this in mind. And I think I have explained everything. It's really like with the checklist, it's not that complicated and it's a lot of fun. So let me just double check. Okay, this is open, this is open. Okay, so we have 15 degrees flaps. This is fine, this is all on. Here this brake is off. Okay. Okay, and I think we can roll up on the runway. Okay. So let me just step on the brakes. Our track sounds. Okay. And let's just go. We do have a co-pilot, so let's simulate that the co-pilot is helping here. I think I had a lot of power just to warm up the engine. Okay, okay. And just add some immersion. No, the right... No, wait. Here. Much better. Okay, let's not use up all of the air. And now it's the main pilot, right? So I'm stepping on the toe brake. So we block like the rear tail wheel and we can get like a nice turn here. Okay, so it's a very short takeoff and landing aircraft. Okay, so okay, and brake. Let's go back to this one and let's get back to our great checklist. Okay, so normal takeoff, throttle full. It's different than in the like advanced manual, but we will use this one because it's more fun. Okay, and rotation around 90, so 90 will be below this 10 that you can see here. Okay, and then airspeed if it's over 120, which is pretty much the white band here, right? We will well, retract the flaps. Okay, let me just see here. Okay, so climb around 2000 RPM, so this will be here. Okay, this too. Airspeed 140, 150. Okay, and lights. Good. So the exact values are provided in the like advanced manual. Okay. Okay, so we want to lock the tail wheel, and the question is, what can we expect when starting? So in general, we need some view. So maybe move here. So it will pull to the left. It depends on how much like of this rudder trim you have applied, but in general you can expect it to like pull to the left, so have your right rudder ready. Sometimes it also helps if in the very beginning you have your joystick aft, so pulled in your direction, right, to get some more grip, but then you pretty much have to set it to neutral and slightly forward, so the plane will go on its main gear. And then it should pretty much take off on its own, especially with flaps. Okay, so one last check if we have everything on. As you can see, most of it is like in front position, right, to be used, and the blue ones are just like lights, right? Red one is pitot heat. So it seems like we haven't missed anything, but I always want to make sure. If you want to know how hot it is actually on the right side here. And this is times 10. So this is pretty much we are, I don't know, and 2.5, so times 10 is, it's 25 Celsius, right? Okay. Okay, let's hope this just works. Let me just step on those awesome brakes. Okay, I am now on the brakes. Let me just add some power. Okay, it pulls a little bit to the left. Okay, now it's on the main gear, and now we can just pull it. Okay. So one of the reasons why it was so popular in communist countries was that it was so easy to fly. But we will also talk about this one once in flight. Let me lower the volume a little bit, so it's showing me that it might be too loud. Okay. And we will slowly turn on our curves. Oh, and the altimeter, which is on the left side, is also in meters. Right, so in order to get feet, we pretty much need to multiply it times 3. I just love this cockpit. So immersive. Okay, let's not crash, because this would be really sad after I said that it's so easy to fly. Okay. And we can see like the beautiful Caribbean Sea below us. Okay, we are at 120, so let's pull up the flaps. Okay, let's not go too high because we do have the clouds, and I'm kind of afraid of carp icing because carp icing can happen up to 10 degrees, I think. Okay, and we can see that the needle from the NDB has already moved in the direction that we wanted it to. Okay, let's gain a little bit more height. Here you can see the vertical speed, but it's also like in meters per second, so totally different than like what we are used to. Okay, and now I can pull back on the power around 850, I guess, in this case. So the middle ground between 8 and 9. Okay, so let me just trim. It needs a lot of trim. Okay, let's reduce it to 8. Okay, so let's talk about the autopilot. So there is none. There was a mod on Flight Sim TO, but sadly it's not working anymore. Okay, so we will have to do it by hand, but if you are not flying in very windy conditions, you can totally trim it, because it is very stable because of those like 4 wings pretty much. So now it's trimmed, right? I'm not touching anything. Let me just show you outside view. And I will also explain why we are on Cuba, right? Okay, but for now we are coming close to the clouds, so let me just trim it out. It really wants to go up, because like those wings are producing lots and lots of lift. And this is also why this pretty much cannot be stalled. Well, almost, right? It doesn't even stall at very slow speeds. And it also has like an interesting mechanism that those slats here are actually extending when it is going very slow, right? To increase the lift even more. Okay, no, still wants to go up. Obviously we are getting like faster, so this is almost 200 kilometers. So the faster we go, the more it also wants to go up, right? So, like in any other plane. Okay, let me make sure it's stable, and then we will talk about all of those exciting topics, including how to still make it work, right? Because for now it just started working, but how to make sure that it will work through the whole trip. Okay, a little bit down. Okay, and we are kind of at 200, which is the standard like cruising setting. Okay, so let's go down with landing lights. Now I will open this manual that I will link you. Okay, and here, let me just see. No, it needs to be larger. Yeah, okay, now. Okay, so for climb, we need 9 on the manifold pressure, okay, so 8.5 and 1850 propeller, okay. So this is our propeller speed, so 1850. Yeah, so let's say kind of here. Let's see if we are still stable. Okay, we are. Oh, nice cloud. Okay. Okay, are we still stable? Just need to make sure my rudder pedals are centered. Yeah, and we are following the arrow, and this arrow is also here. Okay, so let me now tell you the big secret. First I need to check the temperature. It's in the green and in the green, so let's keep those open. If it would be colder, or we would be faster or descending, we would just reduce well, the opening, right, of those shutters. Oops. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's go down a little bit, because we start to fly into those very black-ish mountain clouds. Are we descending? Not really. Yeah, the beautiful Caribbean Sea below us. No, it's pretty windy, actually. Maybe because we are so close to those clouds. Outside view. Yeah? Oh, here. Okay. Stalking us. Okay, so let me tell you some things about this plane, right? So, oh no, sorry, I promised you to tell you how to not like mess it up, right, in flight, for it to still work. So it's pretty much about the tanks, right? So we are on left tank display, but in some time we will want to switch to the right tank, because otherwise we will get like a fuel imbalance. As you can see, the right tank has more fuel, right? So how do we do it? The safest way is to not switch at all, just stay the whole flight on the left tank, and then you can just use the standard like flight simulator UI to replenish the fuel, right? So if you use some up on the left side, then you can just replenish it, and then it will be as much as on the right side. And this is something that people sometimes recommend in the internet. That saying, for me, I found like a better way where you can use both tanks. I mean, not both. Both is forbidden, never use it. But like first the left tank and then the right tank, okay? So for this first, let's go full propeller. Okay. We need here full suction power. Okay. And now, let me just silence it a little bit so I can hear it being loud. And now we will switch to the other tank. And what will happen is this bug that manifold will start to oscillate, you will lose power, and will pretty much have to end the flight. So solutions that I have seen for this one is that after switching you should start pumping the fuel to keep up the pressure, which is kind of silly. But for me something else works. Okay, let me show you. Let me just make sure you will not go down too much. Okay, so let's see. I'm at 2 and the other one has 3, so I want to switch to the other one, right? So first indicator to 3, right? And then I switch this one. Okay, now we can see this oscillation. So what I'm doing is reduce the throttle to 0 and then put it back up. And now it works. And this is how you fly the plane in 2024, okay? So let us talk about other stuff. So some people say that the brakes are not working, so this is what I have already shown you. The brakes were working for me. Maybe it's because of the switch that they are using, because I have seen lots and lots of people flying with this one on. I'm not sure. Maybe this is it. For me, the brakes normally work, right? Okay, so let's just talk about other stuff then. So where to get this plane? Because I think many of you know, right? As you have clicked on it, so you kind of know what it is. But in 2020, it was pretty cheap to buy. You could buy it for $15 or $10 if you were the owner of this like higher pack of MSFS, right? Those like higher editions. As far as I could see on the 2024 marketplace, you can only get it as part of one of the packs, right? The higher editions, okay? So it might, if you don't want the whole edition, it might be better to just buy it in 2020. but I haven't tried it, right? I bought it back in 2020, so it's hard for me to say. Okay, let me just look at my list. Okay, so how do I have English lettering here? Okay, so this is a mod from Flight Sim2o. Still climbing? Yeah. From Flight Sim2o that is working for every livery that has no own interior textures. Okay, let me maybe close it. So it's loud for me. Okay, that has no own interior textures, right? So I've tried it with many and it was always working. It's just like on the exterior you get the livery that you have downloaded, right? And on the interior you will get this nice English lettering. Okay, that's saying for those Cuban ones that I think there are 3 or 4, they did have custom interior textures, which is why this mod was not working. It was everything was just in Russian, right? Like it is originally. So how to fix that? Okay, so it took me a lot of time and some trial and error, but I will just show you in a second. Okay, so first I opened the livery that I wanted to fly, so this Cuban livery, and found all of the files that were described as cockpit, right? So the ones marked here. And I did remove them from this one livery that I downloaded, this Cuban livery, right? Let me just apply some trim, okay? And then in the same downloaded livery, I found the layout JSON file, opened it with the notepad, and removed all of the lines that were referencing those files that I have downloaded, okay? And with this great custom livery here had no longer custom interior textures. And this is also why this English mod started to work, okay? Okay, I can see we are kind of moving away from our curse, although this is something that I have planned because like those islands are so beautiful, so this is fine for us. Okay, I will link this livery, but actually there are also some additional liveries, also Cuban ones, that are like connected to different stories. So maybe let me tell you something about the plane, right? You already seen that like there is a lot of attention detail, it's made with love, there are cool sounds, it's flyable in 2024 as you can see without a problem, right? But it also has a great history, and I actually learned it after I learned to like this plane, right? So actually, as I said, it was like initially built in the Ukraine, right? But then later it was also like built in China, in Russia, in Poland, a lot of them. And then later even like refurbished in Germany, right? So they are flying all around the world. And actually they have built like 80,000 of them, even more. They are even flying in North Korea, okay? And a lot of them also in Cuba, okay? So the manual has a pretty long description of those like great use cases of this one. And there are some like fascinating ones. So for example, they were also flying in the military, armed with torpedoes, right? So like light weaponry torpedoes, they were used for spec ops, crop dusting, and also lately in one of the conflicts as like suicide drones. So they were fit with cameras, right? Remote controls and explosives, right? And they were just used as drones to attack targets during a war. Fascinating. Like for me, I'm normally not so fascinated in history, I guess, but this has such like an interesting history that I just cannot like not share it with you guys. Other stuff. So this was also like a plane that was used for many escapes from communist countries in the past, and like some of those stories of those escapes are kind of well, I'm reading them like an action book pretty much. So let me just share some with you. So actually the first one that I could find was like not so lucky, sadly. So it started like in Poland. that was under communist rule, and like one of the civilian pilots of those planes wanted to like escape to the west, right, to Western countries. And sadly, he did steal the plane, right? But he got shot down over Czechoslovakia back then by an Albatros missile, I think, because back then, like, Czechoslovakia was also like part of the Communist Pact, right? That saying in like 82, so only a couple of years later, like military pilots also from Poland that were flying this plane as part of their job have also stolen one. And this is like probably the best story. So first they kind of pretend that they are going on a normal like run of the plane, but then they landed close to their like city where they were living, where they met with their families and like brought the families, including like small children, on board. That's saying they had a lot of problems because there was also like an engineer this day flying with them, and that was not part of the plan, right? And they didn't know if he won't betray them because it was punishable under like the death sentence, right? Running away from a communist country, especially if you're also stealing military property and maybe also military secrets. And actually there was also an additional background because one of those like military men that have done it was a pilot before, but his wife fled to the United States. And because of this, he was kind of degraded. He stopped being allowed to fly planes, aircraft, right? But he was degraded to the military office. And actually, because he was degraded to the military office, he was able to steal the maps that were showing like the safe way out. Okay, all of the like air patrols, all of the missile defenses. Because he was relocated to the office, he was able to help the others with this daring escape, right? And this is just how it like started, like full of children in the back, and also with one guy that could like betray you in any moment. So they had to fly really, really low to avoid the radar. And sadly, like on the southern border of like Poland, there is a lot of mountains. So they did clip a tree when flying very low, like in mountainous terrain, which has damaged the plane. Okay, so they have planned before to kind of land in the mountains again to let out this guy that could betray them, but after the plane being damaged, they couldn't risk another like landing and takeoff, right? So they have to bring him with them. First, they wanted to flee to Germany, to Bavaria, but then they changed the plan to Vienna. Okay, and I think this guy that was shot down in the beginning, like many years before that, was also fleeing to Vienna. At least that was the plan, right? And what else? They had a lot of problems also because first they had to go over Czechoslovakia, and this is like where the last time the SKP was shot down. Let me just go down so we don't get any carp icing here, because I can see we get some moisture. Yeah, it's kind of 20, I guess, so maybe not. Okay, still. So where was I in my great story? Okay. So the problem was that no one of them was like speaking English, and they were in a military aircraft, and they wanted to cross to a country that was pretty much an enemy country of like the Warsaw Pact, right? The communist countries, to Austria. And they had no idea how to communicate because they were only speaking like Polish and Russian. So actually, one of those people, a friend of them, I guess, has written down what they had to say on a sheet. So it was totally crazy up until the very end. So first they flew through Czechoslovakia, which could shoot them down and has done it before. And then they have, with this totally crazy plan, entered Austria, that was an enemy country, right? And they had no way to communicate. But in the end, they really did it. They did land in Vienna, and they escaped this way. And the plane was returned to Poland later, and I think it's still in a museum. So a really crazy story. that's saying this is all history, and we might think that this is like old communist times and stuff. But what has actually happened 3 years ago was that a pilot from Cuba has escaped from Cuba, taking like a crop duster, a An-2, and tried to escape to the United States. Okay, 3 years ago in this plane, right? So I don't know how, but he did avoid all of the border patrols that, like, we know there is a lot in the US because they are watching out for all of those smugglers and stuff, and actually emergency landed in Florida, in the Everglades, right? And I'm not sure what happened to him later, but it's like fascinating that in this plane, this old plane 3 years ago, and actually one of the liveries that you can get on Flight Sim.to is the livery for the plane that he used to escape. Okay, so you can also check it out. And it's from the same author, as far as I could see, as this one that we are using here. Whew. Okay, a lot of talking. Let me just make sure we are nicely trimmed. Okay, and let me maybe show you some additional details, just so you see how much amazing stuff here is. So let's use this one. Here you can see this actually opens, right? If you open the airflow, you can see the ventilation outside actually moves. Okay, and there is also like a custom sound for it. And here we can see that the NDB, we are already coming closer, and like the power of this radio station is getting higher, right? Let me just move a little bit to the side. I'm pretty much applying no inputs. It's like so stable. So it's said that there is no autopilot, but in the end, if you are not flying in very windy weather, you can pretty much, after trimming, fly almost hands off, right? Yeah, let me just turn here in the direction of the NDB. And I will explain you the brackets here and why they are built like it in a second. Let's just take a look at the temperatures. Here it's cylinder head is close to the bottom limit, right? So it's a little bit too cold. So let's close those guys here. So as you might remember, they are here, but I have them on my joystick. Okay, so let's try it like this. Some very nice views. I guess I can turn off this one. Okay. And now that I have closed the windows, I think I can make it a little bit louder for you guys. Okay. So other stuff. Let me just stabilize the plane a little bit. Maybe it's my legs on the pedals that are not even. It's turning. Not sure because there is some wind. Okay. Okay, let's not. Is it stable? Let's apply some more. Okay, and let's go to the back. Okay, beautiful. And here, this is like the parachute, I guess, version. You can turn on this light, and you can also open this door, and also this big door, right, for jumping out. And there is also some pretty nice lighting here, like in the whole plane. There is a lot of stuff that you can do. So for example, you have this lamp here that you can move around, and it's also like totally working. Right? Also this, I mean, you could really see that there was like a lot of effort and heart put into this one. And we are in 2024 and I'm flying. Okay, let me just see the temperatures. Yeah, it's fine. It's more in the green than it was before. Okay. So some other stuff. Let me just take a look at my like smart list here that I have. So maybe let's talk about the NDB. So why do we have those brackets here? So I also have a picture for it. Okay. Just maybe make it smaller so I see where I'm flying. So this here, what we don't want, this uneven line, is called like I think the dog curve, right? And it's happening when the wind blows you away, but you are just still trying to hold the NDB in the middle. And what this causes is that you will be correcting all of the time, right? So it blows you to the left, you are correcting to the right, it blows you to the left, you are correcting to the right, and in the end, you are not really flying your course, right? So as far as I understand, this is for making sure that you will be flying the planned course and not just adjusting to whatever the arrow is telling you. So obviously you will have to keep the arrow within those brackets, flying your planned course and adjusting as soon as you see that the wind is blowing the arrow away from this planned course, right? So this is pretty much to keep this line, and you can only do it by going into the wind. Here I just really wanted you to see those islands, right? So I didn't do it. But this is pretty much how it works. And it can also work like when you are flying away from an NDB, which we will be doing like on the approach. Okay. Let me just show you the approach once again. Okay. So we are somewhere here, I would imagine, right? This is the NDB, and from the NDB, we will turn to the runway on course 053 for 7 miles. Okay. So there is like a nice lake thing, I guess, so this way we will be also able to visually kind of ascertain where we are. Okay. Okay, so now the right one is also at 2, and I think the left one is at 2. Let me just change the indicator. The left one is also at 2, so we are nicely balanced. After a time, we will see if we will need to, right? You can see the NDB is getting stronger and stronger. We can try listening to it, maybe. Just see. And this is the Morse code. Okay? That should match what we are hearing. Okay. Okay. So other interesting stuff. Here you have the transponder, right? This is the carb heat that I was talking about, but it seems too hot for it, which is nice. Some other interesting toys to play around here. Let me just think about this one. So this is the altimeter that I have shown you in the beginning, but just remember, this is meters, right? So if you are at 800, so in reality we are kind of at around 2.4 like 1,000 feet. Right? Whew, maths. Okay. Well, let's take a look here. So this is the fan that we had on in the beginning. It also has a nice sound, but we cannot hear it because it's too loud. Okay, window heat is working. Wipers are really funny, so I can show them to you. So we don't get them. Also a custom sound. We don't get them like in the front, but just on the side windows, right? So we can look out here. Okay, so I think we can turn them off. And this is the passenger signal lamp. I'm not holding my joystick at all, like for the last 3 minutes, I guess. So you can see how stable this is. Okay, let's go back. And you can see the green light here, right? I have also watched like videos about this one, and there is also like a technical section in the back, which is also interesting, but sadly not modeled here. I have also seen that, let me see if we are even. Yeah, kind of. I have also seen that some of the custom liveries have like normal passenger seats here, so they look more like civilian. Okay? So there are a lot of enthusiasts of this plane, and they are like creating lots and lots of like cool stuff for it. I have also seen there was a mod on Flight Sim2o that was modifying the physics of this one, but it had kind of negative reviews. I'm not sure what has happened there. I wasn't really reading it. For me, the physics seem okay. Like in 2020, when this came out, there was a problem that like flaps were not generating, almost any drag, right? Despite them doing it in the real one. right? And even a lot if you want them to. So you needed to do very shallow and long approaches for the landing. In this case here there's like a lot of drag, so I'm not used to it. I hope I won't crash because of it, because it's really like even the initial flaps setting is already causing the plane to like pitch up a lot, and you can feel the drag, right? So we will see. Here we can see it's getting stronger and stronger, right, as we are nearing the NDB. Let me see, what other stuff do we have on more like smart sheet here? I think I didn't say what the developer of this one is, so it's like ATSim-Simulations, and I've tried to enter their webpage, and they like even had a project for 2024, but it seems like they cannot really bring it out, right? I think it was under construction or something, like under development. I'm just closing them a little bit because here it's, well, kind of low-ish, right? I just want to raise it a little bit. So once again, cylinder head temperature, which you regulate with engine cold flaps, which are those things. Right? And you can see the NDB going crazy. I guess I can increase the power a little bit, so you don't have to listen to me for so long. Okay, so let me, because there are actually no power setting for the cruise in this one, but they are power settings for, and like propeller settings for the climb. Okay, let me now reduce it a little bit, because for the climb it was supposed to be 1800, right? So let's just do it for cruise. I think on the forums somebody has posted like charts, but those were like those old black and white copied charts that were not very clear, right? So if you want to do it totally realistic, you might need to get those. So those are the like official Microsoft forums that I'm talking about. Okay, so here the scenery will get a little bit worse. It's no longer this like beautiful refurbished scenery. Just make sure we are not climbing. Let me just compare our compass with this one. I think it's already off. So this is almost 29. It's like 29 and 3, I guess. And this is, yeah, so let's just, let me see if I can also do something about this one. I don't think so. Yeah, so it's, yeah, it does seem to be, no, wait, because we are turning. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I love this plane, but I would not fly it for longer than like 70 miles, right? Because I don't really see the reason. Maybe if you are like totally into it, you might want like a world tour, maybe, because it does have pitot heat at least, I guess, and like wind chill warming. I would be mostly afraid of icing probably. It's hard for me to say how much this would influence the plane. Although you do get a lot of like reserve lift, right? So maybe even after losing some, you would still be able to fly. Actually in the manual they told that there is also like an interior temp indicator, and that it's supposed to be behind the left pilot is, I think, what they called it. I've tried looking for it, but maybe I'm blind, but I didn't see it. Let me just make sure. No, I don't see it. So guys, if you know where it is, please let me know, because otherwise I will be wondering. Behind the left pilot. Yeah, I mean, this just looks great. What can I say? I just really like it. This is the outside, okay? And it's labeled as such. This is the voltage, right? There you can see NDB is getting stronger and stronger. Maybe let's talk about the radio, right? You have a normal comms radio and you do have the nav radio, but there is like no system for VOR navigation. So you can like tune in a VOR, but like there is no navigation equipment that would source from it, right? So it doesn't do anything. Maybe if you have like the GPS version, I don't know. Let us just go back in the direction of the NDB. Let me see how high I am. So this is kind of 0.6, so times 3 is 1.8, right? Yeah, so under 2,000 feet. No, it's even less, probably. Like 500, maybe, somewhere in the middle. Okay, well, let me just see. Yeah, you should be able to hear the plane. Normally I have like the plane sound a little bit throttled back. I have it like at around 80%, but in this case I just move it to 100%, right? Just open the window for you. That's not that bad, right? That's saying we have the propeller pulled back, right? If it's like on maximum props, it's louder. And we will see if we can do the landing. Guys, like always with those like longer videos of mine, there will be chapters, right? So if you want to just jump to the landing, feel free to do it. I know how it is. I also had times like in my flight simulation days where I was just like jumping from one landing to the other, or like just takeoffs. So that's fine. I mean, I'm happy if you want to watch the whole thing, but I don't mind. Okay. Yeah, I don't want the hot air. Okay, and there's like also windshield, the ice here, also nicely animated. Where is the inside temperature? Okay. Yeah, so another topic that I wanted to discuss is that I was flying some more Jurassic Park lately, and I was actually testing like the Alouette from Theok's hangar in it. It was a lot of fun, and like I even recorded a video, but sadly I was flying like very fast, right? Fast and risky over the island, and then in the end I kind of wanted to finish it up in this like theme park center where the most objects are, right? And like the sim was behaving fine, but the recording software actually quit, right? So it was probably like too fast, and then at the beginning when it was already like close to overloading because of the speed and all of the details there, I kind of entered the most demanding area. So for me it was fine, but like OBS kind of lagged up, right? So I had to remove a lot of the footage that I have like recorded, and there was kind of a break in the middle, and I wasn't sure if I should publish it, but I did find a lot of unique places there that I think like most people haven't found before, or at least didn't know how to enter them with a helicopter, which is kind of exciting. But then when I was considering if I should publish it or not, I saw like the new video from Blue Simulations, and he pretty much like shown everything that I wanted to show. So like taking that the video was not very high quality because I had to do some cuts, right? I kind of resigned from publishing it. Okay? But like there was like something positive about it, because first time it was the first video that I edited, right? Normally I'm not doing any cuts, so you can see all of the mistakes I'm making. But this time I learned how to cut a video if I would need to do it in the future. Right? So there was something positive coming out of it. So when we are talking about boring stuff like my channel, I also consider it maybe doing a short survey, because I do have this like posts community tab on the channel, giving you some options what you would like to see, And the options that I'm considering are the Alouette, right? Some Alouette flying, the new Duke from Black Square that just got like the 2024 version. Although looking at the forums, there seem to be some issues with it. I'm not sure, haven't tested it yet. And the third option would be like some more Miltech mission hub flying. I'm kind of working on some additional missions. I'm kind of still waiting for the update that was promised some time ago, and the devs are saying that they are working on it. So I don't know. Maybe I will not wait for them, but will just already publish something and already like create maybe a second part of one of the missions. The scripts for the missions, like the plan, I already have prepared, right? So I know what I want to do. I just hope that this update would bring me some additional possibilities, right? Okay, so let me take a look at the height. So it's 0.8. Okay. Yeah, last time I did come back too early and then had kind of like a goofy approach because I was very like low and already had the flaps. So now maybe actually being higher is a good plan, because I'm still used to the old flight model with the flaps not having any drag at all, right? So we pretty much had to come in either over a very long distance or just like start already low, right? Okay, let us just take a look at the terrain here. So I think the NDB is somewhere here because it was supposed to be in this like river curve, I guess. It's already pretty strong, we can see it here. I'll just turn on the landing lights so people can see us approaching. Okay, I don't want to climb, so let me just apply some more of this trim down. Okay. Let us just slowly descend. I will also show you like an outside view in a second, so you can just marvel at this beautiful scenery. Just need to make sure I will not flip the plane. Okay. Really nice. You can even see the dirt here. Cuban flag here. Some nice beacons. Actually, I was doing the walk around before, but not in the video. And when you come close to this engine, the detail inside is also pretty good. Okay, so but for now, just make sure that we are on the right track. Okay, and we can already prepare for like the approach. So we will come in here, and then we have to turn to 053. Okay. Oops. I was forgetting that you can just do this one with this control method. I will not switch to it because I think there is like too much of those like tooltips interfering like for other planes, but in this plane it's really great, right? So I can really recommend it. Are we going down too much? No, just slightly. This is fine. Okay, let's take a look at the tanks. And so we are already at 1, so let's check the other one. Okay, so here is still 2, so we will switch to the other one. So propeller full. I'm not sure how much difference it makes, but it seems somebody said that it can also influence in displaying like the tank problems, right? So I'm just doing it. I'm just believing it needs to be fine. And now switch to the other one. We have the back, so throttle 0, throttle full. And there. We don't need to bother the developer of the plane. Okay, and we can once again, whoops, this is not this one. reduce the propeller slightly. And maybe it's just like an urban legend with this propeller, but still, I don't want to follow out of the sky, so I'm just following what works. And I even kind of like this like strange thing that we are doing now, because it seems to fit like a clunky old plane that you have like to do some magic for it to want to cooperate. Actually, before this video I never knew that like Cuba is not only like the main island, but it's like a country that is bigger and also encompasses like the near islands, which is interesting. So many things that you can learn when like flight simming. Okay, so this is still in the green, this is still in the green, so this is fine. And so if you are thinking about like failures here, because this is also something that I was wondering. So as far as I know, if you go into the yellow or red or whatever, there will be no failure. But some people have reported that they were getting failures in some strange situation when they were doing strange things to the engine. So I don't know, right? I haven't stress tested it that much, other than like with my normal flying, which is can be stressful for a plane. But I think it's just cosmetic, right? Okay, so left, nice. Okay, let me see what other fun stuff we can do. So it does have this nice UV lighting, so this green radioactive one, I guess, if it will be a little bit darker, the same or similar that we also have like in the Vilga, right? I also like this effect because it's something that you are not normally seeing. Okay, so we are already over the part that is like surrounded by water, so we should turn in a second pretty much. I think I can pull the volume up, so you will be able to enjoy the landing. Oh, I forgot about flight recorder, so 1 second. Normally the landings in this one are like not spectacular in any way, because they are like very short and like gentle, but still. Let me just hope it will not crash the sim when I do it now. But it doesn't look like. Okay, and we can see this one already is getting like erratic, right? So we are close to being over it. It's similar as with VORs, right? With this cone of confusion. Okay, and I think now is a good time to do the turn. I'll just change the view, boop, 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 so I can see something. It's like a very, very gentle plane. This is why I was also stressed to show it to you, because it's widely known as like one of the easiest planes to fly in existence. So if I crash it, this will be, yeah, I will be a meme. But let's just see. Okay, and we can see the runway already before us, right? Also, if you want to fly by the parameters that are provided in the manual, let me just show. Oh, I have already closed it. I will link it in the description. They are also settings for the descent provided. Okay, so for now let's close the cowl flaps. Okay, let me just see. Okay, and now we are getting slightly too hot. Okay, so let's just open it. Okay, let me not play around with them. Did I mix up the... Okay, no. Okay, so let's go into flaps range. Tail wheel lock is on. Okay, so this is what we want. Okay, so a little bit too much drag, because I have applied like a lot of pitch trim right before for it to want to descend, because it naturally likes to float. So now I have to kind of set it to neutral. Not sure which one this is. I think it's the aileron trim. right? So you kind of need to judge it. I think it's kind of neutral now. Okay. Let me just go full propellers. Okay, let me open the window for your enjoyment here. Oops. Too much enjoyment, not enough flying. Okay. And I will wait with the flaps for some time because, as I said, they are like producing lots and lots of drag. Okay. I think it's actually better now to go down very steep, like on a normal path, but I'm still like instinctively going very shallow, right? And then it's hard to keep the nose up. Just make sure I have the pedals kind of centered. So this is like a custom airport. Am I crabbing? Did I want to crab? Okay. I think we can do it. Okay. It's flaps range. And touchdown, as far as I remember, I won't be able to check it now, is somewhere around 85, I believe. You can see like the sounds nicely reacting to the throttle inputs. There is a lot of delay. Actually, those delays and like the delay in the needles and stuff is also something that... Oh, wind. Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Asobo. Always when I'm recording. Okay. This was like the slat that is opening when you are very low speed. Okay. Okay. So joystick aft. Okay. And we are rolling along the runway. I don't have like steering wheel control, so I'm just using the yaw, right? Go back. Okay, I think I can add some power now. It's extremely like stall, right? So short takeoff and landing. So actually I could like land on the piano bars probably, like with a helicopter. And it's fascinating because I think it can load like 2 tons of load, right? This is also why I like to use it for FS economy, because you could make a lot of money with it. Because being able to load up like 12 people and land everywhere is really great for this economy plugin. Okay. So we are just cruising along. Hope I won't. Yeah, it's extremely docile, guys. So if you're looking for your like first tail dragger, I think this might be the perfect one. Okay. So steering, boop boop boop. I will be. Yeah, I just love this sound. Okay. Just remember, if you are braking, always the joystick, pull the joystick to you, right? Because otherwise you can go over the propeller, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also like driving Euro truck, so this reminds me of driving a truck. And as you can see, brakes work, right? So just follow the checklist, please. I'm not sure about like Cuban parking customs, so I will just park here. Oops. Okay, and parking brake on. Ta-da! Works, right? So I'm really happy that it works, right? That I was able to figure it out. And I hope you're also happy now if you wanted to try it out before. And I hope there is like still an option to get it cheap, like in 2020, or maybe you have the pack in 2024 and you can enjoy it already. Yeah? Let me just... oh yeah, we have a recording, right? So let's do the recording then. Okay, so stop recording. Let me just move up. Yeah. So a nice little airport. Once again, not standard, I had to download it from FlightSim.to. Okay. Okay, so replay, I think. Not sure. It's kind of doing strange stuff with the camera. It should be fine. There. As I said, not very exciting. Oh, actually, could be more on the center line, but still fine. So let's maybe stop the replay, then move it back here and replay it again. Okay. And now with some passenger view for your enjoyment here. I'm sure they are wondering why we are not landing on the center line. Okay, actually I have seen some YouTubers that said that like landing with the steering wheel is also totally fine, and you can like avoid situations as this one where it was like difficult for me to go back to the line without like the steering wheel in the back being active, right? Okay, maybe one last one, because I want to see if those slots have moved. Okay, so stop replay and replay. Yeah, I think you could see them for a second, so let's just see. Was I slow enough? Yeah. Nice. And as far as I understand, they are like aerodynamically activated, right? So there is no mechanism, it's just the airflow that activates them. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay, so let me move here. Stay on top, show data, stop replay, I guess. Okay, and now we are here on a parking spot. Okay, so let me go back. And once again, this one is also pretty cool. So, flaps, post-flight, parking. So parking brake is set. Is it? It's on. Okay. Okay. So I guess we can just turn off all of those switches. Okay, magnetos. Yeah, pretty nice animation, I have to say. Let's go out. Just wanted to show you this engine. Also, the modeling is great. Yeah? There are many payware planes that are not so nice. Okay, here you can see, I think this is custom with the livery here. I always like it when you can see those cowl flaps operate. And let me just show you. Oh, I managed to back it up. Okay. Go back here. And let me show you the door. Okay, so we can either open the small one or the big one to jump out. Okay. And this is the An-2 in 2024. You have fun and are inspired to do a lot of crazy stuff with it now. enjoy, and see you in future videos. Thank you. Bye bye.